Apologies for the late start, folks. Apologies for the late start, folks. I realized I needed to adjust my mic. A little late in getting things set up to this morning. So we're ready to go now, though. Matter of fact, it's probably too loud. Let me adjust that down just a little bit. Make sure. The goal here is to make it so that I sound good and you guys don't get hurt by the hammer blows. Try to get that fine balance. Wow. My phone is not behaving well today. What is going on? That is a really unusual behavior. Let's see if it improves. What's going on, Alexis? Are you seeing the bad behavior from my phone, or is it just me seeing a red box that I don't like to see? Hey, sis! How are things down there in sunny Florida? Okay, if the stream's doing fine, then I'm not going to worry about it. And I realized a couple of days ago, as I was reviewing stats and things about this channel, that I promised that I would be doing a beginner project at the beginning of the stream. And while I know the majority of the folks that show up here are established in their hobby, because most of the smiths that show up here are hobbyist blacksmiths, I think I should still keep that promise. Hey Lisa, hey Gid. So this morning I'm gonna follow in the footsteps of people who've been there before me and start doing a hook at the beginning of my stream. Hooking for a living, or to at least pay the bills for my hobby, that is. By grabbing something out of the scrap pile and seeing what hook I can make out of it. So we'll go to the anvil, and we already have some shape here on the end, so we're from prior forging. So we're just gonna run with that, clean it up a bit. Okay. For the beginner who does just happen to come along and see the beginning of this stream, I want to point out that I am not using any real fancy tools here, except for my tongs. I will say I paid a little bit of money to go and buy, custom-made tongs. Custom isn't the right word. No, they weren't custom-made. Off-the-shelf tongs. That's what I meant. But it wasn't a lot. But if you don't have that, you have a pair of pliers, use them. I wouldn't recommend vice grips. But pliers might work. Just keep your hands, might have to wear a glove to keep your hands away from the heat. And then this is a Harbor Freight special. I do recommend spending just a minute at a sander, or it's a belt sander, a disc sander, a flap disc on your angle grinder or whatever, and round the edges off on the hammer, and round the edges here on your hammer. Only here. The rest of this is fine. I mean, you might decide that you don't want such an aggressive peen, and then you might round it a little bit bigger. But you can see this has been rounded off here, and when I say you can see, it's because it doesn't have the black paint that they put on their hammers. The other thing, take the lacquer that is on the hammer off. Again, use the same flap disc or whatever you have for such things. Take it off. You'll thank yourself when you don't have so many blisters. And then I've just done something real simple. You're gonna be starting a fire, so you're probably gonna have a torch of some sort to start a fire with. You know, inexpensive bottle propane, you know, torch you can get over at any of your big box stores, or you know, in my case, a feed store. Burn once you've taken and taken off the lacquer, you're gonna have a roughness on here. Burn it off. That's the easiest way to take the roughness down. Burn it off. And then for me, I use pure, unadulterated, raw linseed oil, and covered, you know, wiped it down with a rag. With that, you can even see still some of the. I actually finished doing that this morning. You can see a few of the fibers from the rag still in there, and you will have something good enough to work with. You could sand it more finely, you know, but most of the things that would end up as splinters have been burned off. So, and it makes for a pretty look anyway. All right, that's it for the beginner as far as that part's concerned. Morning, Rob. Morning, Kevin. Well, nice to see the gang showing up. I miss you too, sis. The one downside of moving to where work is, it's clear across the country. Yeah, sorry about that, Kevin. I started the stream a minute late. Shane? Lurking in a game in Diablo 4. You have to tell me what you think of that. I was a big fan of Diablo in the old days. As long as it was the standalone. I didn't mind. I didn't care for having my ear handed to me so often. Back when they added PvP. Yeah, propane torch is a way to go. Is a way to get started. Mr. Killian. But if you are a beginner and you want to do this beginner project, and you don't have a pair of tongs and you don't have a pair of pliers and you just want to get some things going, make sure you start with a piece of stock that's long enough to just hold on to with your bare hands or with a gloved hand. You'll see I'm not wearing gloves. I don't wear gloves unless I know I have to be near the hot part. All right, we'll go ahead and decide if I want any. Actually, I am gonna take that down just a little more, which means everything I just did at the beginning of this heat is destroyed, but that's okay. Now I'll start with my rounding. To round a thing, I'm just going to talk through it like it's a beginner show right now. To round a thing, you take it from square to octagon. If you want to go crazy and go into 16 sides when you got something big enough to worry about that with, then do that. But for the size that I work with, octagon to round is all you need to do. What I'm doing now is not forging so much as what they call planishing. That's taking and getting rid of the bumpity bumps. We're not to round yet, we're just to the octagon. If I wanted to, I could. You can see I can start knocking those corners down. We'll warm it up after that. get a closer shot in there for you. And then we'll focus it a little bit. Nope, that's the wrong direction. There we go. Let's take this other piece that I'll be working on in a little bit out of my way. Get rid of all the forge scale, which is basically instant rust. Now I'm going to tell you, when you get this Harbor Freight hammer, it's heavier than it needs to be to do forging as a beginner. But it's cheap. Nobody's going to go broke trying to buy Harbor Freight tools unless they're trying to buy them all. They're not necessarily the highest quality. They might not be quite exactly what it takes to get the job done most efficiently. But they're a good place for a hobbyist to get their tools. And I'm winging it on this hook as to what it's going to be when it's all said and done. I'm not yet sure. We've got an idea though. Okay, that's what I thought, that it might be choppy. I'm going to do something real quick, guys, and it's going to mean the stream's going to end and it's going to start all over again. Sorry about that, but that's what it's going to take to fix this. So, bear with me.